In a world where bloodline is destiny, one boy refuses to accept that. Luis Carel, a commoner, an orphan, reborn with the memories, instincts, and iron will of an entire past lifetime. 20,000 applicants. Only 20 will pass. And he just walked in at 13 years old, ready to make every noble in that arena regret underestimating him. Year 596 of the Holy Calendar, and we're opening right at the Arcanist Academy of Candria, one of the most prestigious magic schools in the entire empire. Among the sea of applicants, one white-haired boy stands there, jaw practically on the floor, completely mesmerized by the sheer size of this place. This is Luis Carel, 13 years old, and already carrying that look in his eyes like he's got something to prove. He scans the crowd and realizes just how many people showed up for this exam. Every single one of them dead serious about getting in. Then out of nowhere, someone calls his name, and he spins around to see who it is. It's his adoptive father Julian, glasses and all, completely out of breath, complaining that Luis walks way too fast. Right behind him is his adoptive mother, Sierra, and she's already worried before the exam even starts. She immediately checks. Did he bring his ID? Did he bring the hair dye? Because that white hair of his? Yeah, it cannot draw attention. Luis gives her the classic relax. I've got it all handled response. She is not convinced even slightly. She pleads with him. What if someone attacks him because of his unusual hair and eyes? She's even heard rumors that examinees have died during this test. Julian steps in, hand on her shoulder, and lays it out plainly. Magic is the only real solution to Luis's problem. And in the entire Northern Empire, this is the one and only academy where commoners are even allowed to sit the exam. This is their shot. Their only shot. The narration pulls back to give us the full picture of the Arcanist Academy of Candria, founded by the royal family, one of the 10 great academies, trained by the most powerful grandmasters in the empire. And here's something worth noting. In the last 10 years, several guardians of non-noble origin have actually risen to greatness, and most of them came from right here. Julian smiles and wraps it up perfectly. This is exactly where Luis belongs. That lands. Sierra finally gives in, and Luis wastes no time. He declares with full confidence that he is going to become a great master. But then he goes further. With that fire in his eyes, he reveals his real goal. Grow strong enough to take back the orphanage from the church's control. Sierra is just stunned, completely speechless. And then the tears come. She admits it out loud. She's too dependent on him. She can't even manage his recklessness. And she worries every single day. She feels like a terrible mother. Julian quietly reminds her that raising this many children is already more than enough. She's doing fine. And then Luis looks at her, genuinely, sincerely, and tells her the truth. He's only alive because of her. And he means every word. That takes us straight into a flashback. His previous life. And it was not a kind one. In that life, he was obsessed with martial arts, but severe asthma had him chained to a respirator, completely dependent on machines just to breathe. It got so bad that even his own parents started resenting him for the financial strain. But even from a wheelchair, he never stopped researching. That passion turned into something real, a doctoral thesis on the martial arts industry, modern combat, and the possibility of its revival. Genuinely groundbreaking work. He became a celebrated scholar, a martial arts theorist. His future looked brilliant. His research was about to change the entire combat industry. And then someone took it all away. A fellow scholar stole his thesis, and then had the nerve to accuse him of being the thief. Yeah. This is where it gets truly dark. This person looked at a sick man who could barely move and decided he didn't deserve the glory. Cold doesn't even cover it. Crushed by betrayal, stripped of his work and his honor, and then his own parents pulled the plug. Literally removed his life support. As everything faded, his final wish was heartbreakingly simple. Just a little more time. And if there was a next life, a healthy body, a family that loved him, a life of his own, his wish was heard. Consciousness awakens, year 90 of the Holy Calendar, village of Mantia, Northern Empire of Candria. 500 years before his current life. A young Sierra finds him. Another nun immediately flags his strange hair and eye color and starts getting nervous. Luis's mind is spinning. Where am I? I should be dead. The other nun calls him a bad omen. Warns Sierra to get rid of him before he brings disaster to the facility. But Sierra just smiles. Calm, warm, completely unbothered, and says the child is innocent. She takes him in and gives him a name. Luis Carel. Flashback over. Back in the present, Luis takes a breath and thinks about how incredibly lucky he is. A loving family, a healthy body, everything he ever wanted. And then reality slaps him right in the face. An arrogant noble shoves Sierra out of his way, shouting at her to move, calling her a commoner like it's an insult. She hits the ground. Luis and Julian both rush to her, shouting her name. Fury and panic hitting at the same time. The noble sneers, laughing at the very idea of a commoner ever becoming a great master. Why even dream of something that impossible? Luis's eyes go ice cold. That contempt just lit something deep inside him. The noble wipes his hand like he touched something dirty, and jokes about hoping his luck doesn't run out after touching a filthy commoner. Classy guy. Luis is shaking, teeth clenched. Damn bastards. Barely a whisper, but you can feel the weight behind it. He's about to snap, and then Julian grabs his arm. Hard. One look that says, not here, not now. Sierra jumps in too, reminding him of his promise. No trouble at the academy. Please, just endure it for now. Luis is stuck between his rage and the people he loves most. He swallows it, every last bit of it. Sierra puts her hand on his shoulder. He quietly apologizes, and you can see exactly how much that cost him. The nobles group walks off laughing. Cowards. Party pooper. You're lucky, trash. Real winners, these guys. Then the crowd stirs. People start moving aside, shouting for everyone to make way. A young man with blonde hair steps forward. Composed, radiant, practically glowing with that noble presence. The crowd is already whispering about him. He's introduced as Karina, heir of the Aranka family. One of those people who just walks into a room and owns it. Luis watches all of this, and the anger doesn't leave. It just shifts, solidifies, becomes something colder and sharper. Damn arrogant bastards. He's not just angry anymore. This is a promise forming in real time. You'll see. I'll prove every single one of you wrong. A commoner you underestimated, remember that. Sierra's watching him with that worried look again. But Luis takes her hands, smiles, and tells her straight, I will pass. I will become a great master. Nearby, Karina quietly catches every word of that declaration. The noble bullies laugh. Luis doesn't flinch. He doubles down. I'll learn magic, and I'll prove it to all of you. With that settled in his chest, he says goodbye to his parents and takes off toward the exam grounds, thinking one final thought. In this life, I'll become the strongest, and I will protect everything precious to me. He pictures his family, Julian, Sierra, all of them, and smiles. That's what this is all for. Sierra watches him disappear into the crowd, worry still written all over her face. Will he be all right? And to put that into perspective, only 20 to 30 people pass each year, and this year alone, there are 20,000 applicants. Sierra's heart is barely holding it together. Julian, though, completely calm. He knows exactly who Luis is. He's more stubborn than anyone, Julian says. Once he decides something, he goes straight for it and doesn't look back. Our job as his family is to support him. That lands. Sierra takes a breath and nods. You're right. Luis steps into the examination hall and immediately stops. This place is massive. He scans the crowd and something clicks. Everyone here is older than me. Every single one of them. Then the air shifts. A figure descends from the sky. And when he speaks, the entire courtyard goes quiet. The entrance examination for the Arcanist Academy of Candria will now begin. He introduces himself with the kind of authority that makes you stand a little straighter. Aronian Smith, director of the Arcanist Academy. The crowd erupts in whispers. The great master director Aronian. People are already shaken just by his presence. Luis quickly runs through the power system in his head: martial arcanists, arcane practitioners, all divided into 6 ranks. A hierarchy forms in his mind. Apprentice, fighter, master, grandmaster, sage, and at the very top, saint. Director Aronian sits at grandmaster, 3rd highest rank in existence. Luis lets that sink in. This man is not someone you take lightly. Aronian raises his hand and points toward a long staircase. The first trial is right there. Climb those steps, but senior students are blocking the way. Behind them sit 1,000 passes. Get one and you move on. The catch? The moment all 1,000 passes are taken, the exam ends. No pass, no second chance. Aronian raises one finger. The tension in the air is suffocating. And then, begin. One word. And 20,000 people move at once. The first wave charges up confidently, practically laughing. I'll be first, someone shouts. Yeah. That confidence doesn't last long. At the top of the stairs, one of the senior students is already smiling. Not a friendly smile. Predatory one. "Welcome to hell," he says. And then he opens up a wave of red and black energy, raw killing intent, and just dumps it on everyone below. The world warps. Vision blurs. It feels like everything is collapsing at once under the sheer weight of that pressure. People start screaming, faces twisted in panic. And then they start dropping unconscious one by one, being disqualified on the spot. Pure caos. Someone cries out. Was that an attack? Another recognizes the senior student immediately. That's Lord Sheed, son of the Minister of Finance, last year's top scorer. And yeah, the fear is completely justified. But in the middle of all that chaos, Luis is just standing there, completely calm, almost unsettlingly so. He identifies it instantly. That was killing intent. Not an attack, just his aura, released to break everyone's will before they even take a step. The few still standing turn and stare at him. Not just standing, completely unaffected, like it didn't touch him at all. Luis starts walking forward, cool as ever. He explains it to himself. Anyone with a weak will would naturally fold under that kind of pressure. He glances at the sea of unconscious bodies on the ground. To him, this mental trial is child's play. And he means that literally. Then the noble from earlier spots him. "Oh great, this guy again." Smug smile, condescending tone. "Looks like you've got some guts," he says. And then the mask slips. There's no place for commoners here. Luis's eyes narrow. That familiar rage starts building again. This man just does not know when to stop. The noble's expression shifts from smug to dangerous. His intent sharpens. And then he unleashes his own killing intent, aimed directly at Luis. A concentrated column of red energy. A crushing wave of hostility. "I'll make you kneel," he roars. The remaining applicants still standing? Gone. Knocked to the ground, screaming, begging under the pressure. And Luis? Still standing. Motionless. Not even slightly moved. A slow smile forms on his face. "Is that all your killing intent can do?" He says it like he's almost disappointed. Because in his mind, he's not seeing this noble. He's seeing bloody battlefields. Legendary warriors. Monsters. The killing intent of beings that could erase someone like this noble without blinking. He had faced those auras in his mind, day after day, life after life. Relentless mental training that forged a will most people couldn't comprehend. Compared to that, this noble's pressure is background noise. The noble snaps. Done talking. He throws a punch, red aura flaring, trying to just physically overpower him. Not his smartest decision, honestly. Luis smiles. It won't work. And then he lets go. A powerful blue aura erupts from within him. Eyes blazing, energy surging. And it crashes straight into the noble's killing intent and completely erases it. Luis clenches his fist. His voice drops low and heavy. "I'll show you nobles what true killing intent really is." He throws a single punch. No physical contact. Just a shockwave of pure, concentrated will, invisible, overwhelming, and absolute. The noble is hurled backward like he weighed nothing. Utterly overwhelmed by a force he can't even begin to understand. The crowd freezes. Dead silent. The arrogant noble defeated. By one punch. Without magic. The noble hits the ground, eyes wide, screaming. Unable to process what just happened to him. Luis stands over him. That cold, contemptuous look doing all the talking. "Don't ever underestimate me again." Even Lord Sheed, the top scorer, the one who just sent hundreds of people crashing to the ground, is sweating, visibly shaken. And the remaining applicants are just staring, completely lost. "How did he do that?" "Without using any magic," you said. "Remove the image and sequence and keep everything as it is." The crowd can't process it. He resisted killing intent and knocked down a senior student. And he's only 13 or 14 years old. Luis doesn't even acknowledge the stares. He just starts walking. Past Lord Sheed. Past everyone. Cold and unbothered. "I will pass." He says it quietly, almost to himself, as he heads straight toward the board where the exam passes are displayed. He reaches out and takes one. Just like that. First trial done. The senior student behind him is still in shock. And then, of course, the defeated noble can't let it go. He jumps back to his feet, screaming, and charges at Luis from behind like a sore loser. His hand lights up with magical energy. A cowardly backstab attempt to reclaim whatever dignity he thinks he had left. Luis doesn't even turn around. His senses, sharpened through an entire past lifetime, catch it instantly. With one fluid motion, he deflects the magical strike clean. No magic. Just reflex and precision that have no business being on a 13-year-old. The noble is frozen. Impossible. A commoner blocked my attack without magic? And then Director Aronian appears. Instantly. Hand firmly on the noble's shoulder. The energy in the area drops immediately. He has passed the first exam, Aronian says. Simple. Final. Not up for debate. The noble stutters, but he's a commoner. Aronian turns that stern gaze on him and doesn't blink. The Arcanist Academy treats all examinees equally. Noble or commoner, when facing monsters, we are all just humans. That shuts him up completely. Crushed. The noble bows deeply and apologizes. Luis bows too, genuine respect for a man who actually deserves it. Aronian's expression softens just slightly as he turns to Luis. Congratulations, Luis Carel. You've passed. But then he leans in closer. His gaze sharpens. And he says quietly, your hair color. It is quite concerning. Right on cue, something stirs inside Luis. His hair and eyes shift color for just a moment, and Aronian catches every bit of it. Luis keeps his composure. What do you mean? He asks carefully, not giving anything away. Aronian steps closer and lifts his chin, studying him with the focus of someone who recognizes something rare and possibly dangerous. Then he makes an offer. If Luis is admitted, he will personally prepare a special potion to conceal those unique traits of his. Luis files that away but doesn't let it shake him. He doesn't know what Aronian's angle is, but right now, the only thing that matters is passing this exam. As Aronian leads him away, someone is watching from a distance. A man in glasses, and he does not look pleased. The camera closes in on his face. Eyes burning with anger and resentment, jaw tight, watching Luis walk away with the director. This noble examiner, furious that the director stepped in for a commoner, clenches his teeth. He will not forget the name Luis Carel. Remember that detail. Scene shift. The second examination field. An announcement rings out. All 1,000 remaining examinees must wait for the next trial to begin. Out of 20,000 applicants, only 1,000 made it here. And almost all of them are nobles. Elite education, years of preparation, every advantage imaginable. Barely any commoners remain. Luis sticks out like a target. Sure enough, a group of arrogant nobles makes their way over. Led by a young man with brown hair and a purple tie, radiating superiority from every angle. The leader looks Luis dead in the eyes and makes his position clear. Next time, no one will help you, commoner. Luis holds his gaze. Calm. Composed. But there's something behind those eyes that says he is absolutely done being talked down to. One of the nobles piles on. If the director hadn't stepped in, you'd have been disqualified ages ago. They're really enjoying this. And then Luis opens his mouth. With a smile that is almost too calm, he says, honestly, you're a complete idiot. The noble short-circuits. What? Did this commoner just... Luis doesn't stop. The Grandmaster has far better judgment than any of you. Delivered with complete, unshakable confidence. The noble loses it. Fist raised, screaming. Do you want me to beat you to a pulp? Luis smiles. Like he was waiting for exactly this moment. The noble throws the punch. Full force, straight at Luis's face. And Luis stops it. With 2 fingers. A flash of energy sparks at the point of contact. Not magic, but something older and far more precise. The noble goes completely rigid. I can't move my body. He can't process what just happened. Luis calmly names it, meridian rupture. A spiral point strike that doesn't just block the attack, it shuts down the body's ability to move entirely. And then he sends the noble flying. One controlled strike. The noble is airborne, slams into the ground, and a cloud of dust swallows the moment. His companions are screaming his name, rushing over, completely horrified. The noble is writhing on the ground. He tries to move his arm, nothing. Is completely paralyzed. And because apparently losing isn't enough, he starts accusing Luis of using poison. Screaming that he's going to report this. Luis steps forward. Calm. Quiet. It wasn't poison. It was martial arts. He looks at him with that steady gaze and admits, he had been holding back. Because of a promise he made to his mother. But even he has limits. And then he says it, the only people who have the right to strike others are those who are prepared to be struck themselves. That one lands heavy. Just as things are about to escalate again. A hand grabs Luis's wrist. It's Lord Ken, the blonde noble from earlier. He steps in calmly but firmly. They're in the middle of an examination. Is this really worth getting disqualified over? Luis goes quiet. He lowers his fist and takes stock of this unexpected figure who just walked into the situation. The humiliated noble is not done though. He shouts at Ken to stay out of it, and then turns back to Luis. You damn commoner. I'll kill you. Ken turns toward the group. Slow. Deliberate. You know who I am, don't you? Step back. And that's not a suggestion. The group freezes. Just like that, the bravado evaporates. The leader grits his teeth and tells his crew to forget it. They retreat. But as he walks away, he looks back. Eyes full of hatred, resentment carved into every feature. Commoners and nobles alike, all trash. Remember this. Luis watches them go, thinking the same thing he's been thinking all day. Nobles are all the same. Status as a weapon, nothing more. Then Lord Ken turns to him. Luis, right? He says. Like he already knows exactly who he's dealing with. Ken looks at him with a genuine smile. You're strong and brave. And then he extends his hand. Want to team up? The offer lands like a grenade. Every examinee nearby snaps their head around immediately. Girls start squealing. People rush over from every direction, shouting their family names, begging to be chosen. It's pure chaos in seconds. Luis stands off to the side, watching all of this unfold. Completely unbothered. Just a quiet hoof and he's done engaging with it. The whispers fill in the gaps. He's the young master of the Aranka family. Teaming up with him basically guarantees passing. No wonder everyone's losing their minds. From high above, Director Aronian decides the crowd has waited long enough. A massive magical circle activates in midair at the center of the field. His voice rolls across the grounds. Congratulations on passing the trial of will. Now the trial of power begins. A glowing symbol suddenly appears on the chest of every single examinee at the exact same time. Nobody saw that coming. What is this? Someone shouts. Ken's eyes narrow. Is that an Earth attribute mark? And then the realization hits him. Before anyone can process it, gravity multiplies. Bodies start dropping. One by one, examinees crumple under the crushing weight pressing down on all of them. A massive Earth attribute magic circle spreads across the entire arena floor, lighting it up, and the pressure intensifies further. The director lays out the rules. Fight within the arena while under the influence of Earth attribute magic. Simple enough, except most people can barely breathe right now. The same nobles who were mocking Luis earlier are now on their knees, trembling, wondering how they're supposed to fight under these conditions. Funny how that works. And then someone in the crowd shouts and points. Hey, look at that guy. He's walking like it's nothing. It's Ken. Still standing, barely, drenched in sweat, expression somewhere between disbelief and pure shock, but standing. And Ken is staring at Luis. Because Luis isn't just standing. He's walking, steadily, forward. With every step, cracks spread across the stone floor beneath his feet. The pressure is all converging on him, and he doesn't even flinch. From above, Aronian watches as Luis simply walks up onto the stage. No visible effort, like the gravity doesn't apply to him. The examinees on the ground can't believe their eyes. Someone made it onto the stage. That's impossible. Aronian smiles to himself. You're the first again, he thinks. Something about this kid genuinely intrigues him. Ken is still processing it. He thinks to himself, for me, with 3 years of Grandmaster level training, I can barely stay standing. And this kid just walked up there. The director's voice cuts through again. Only those still standing may participate in the next trial. Everyone else stays down. Aronian conjures a sphere of light, and a weapon rack materializes out of thin air in front of the few still on their feet. Choose whatever you like, he says, but leave the stage and you're immediately disqualified. Swords, bows, spears. All slowly spinning in the air. Luis doesn't hesitate for even a second. His bandaged hand wraps firmly around a sword hilt and pulls it down. Chosen. He runs through a few quick movements, fluid, instinctive, practiced. This isn't someone who just picked up a sword. This is someone who knows exactly what he's doing with one. Meanwhile, the others around him can barely hold their weapons steady under the gravity. Luis looks like he's warming up. Aronian looks out over the stage. Are you ready? And without waiting too long, begin. Release the bound slimes. The examinees look around. Nothing happens. Where are they? One of them asks, completely confused. 2 students whisper to each other. What even are bound slimes? No idea, the other replies. Luis says nothing. Just listens. And then his senses kick in. His gaze snaps upward. Above, he thinks. Way above. Dozens of glowing blue spheres begin appearing at the top of the domed ceiling. And then one drops. It crashes into the ground and reveals itself. A gelatinous, blue, almost cute little creature. A slime. So that's what they are. The director's voice lays out the scoring. Blocking an attack earns 1 point, dodging earns 2, and defeating a slime gets you 5. And the most important part, only the top 100 out of the remaining 1,000 will advance. 10%. That's it. Luis does that math instantly. Only 100 people. His jaw tightens. His resolve locks in. The slimes start bouncing around, making little playful sounds. And just like that, people start lowering their guard. One student laughs, they look pretty stupid. Another one raises his sword with full confidence. They're just slimes. Easy 5 points. He charges straight at one. The slime's expression flips completely. It dodges with shocking agility, and then fires itself like a cannonball straight at his face. The student had absolutely no time to react. Bam! Direct hit. He's sent flying, unconscious before he even lands. Another student watches one blur past him and can only stare. These things are not weak at all. Not even close. More slimes rain down from the ceiling. The arena erupts into chaos. Students are getting launched through the air left and right. From the balcony, the examiners are watching and calling out scores in real time. The numbers are painfully small. 1 point, 2 points. The test is brutal. One of the female examiners turns to Aronian. This year includes the young masters of the great noble houses, Oranka and Duran. A new record might be set. Down in the arena, 2 fighters stand out immediately. A boy and a red-haired girl, moving with elegant, fluid precision, completely in sync. Another examiner chimes in, there are several standouts this year. And then, carefully, the boy you helped earlier is a commoner too, isn't he? Aronian turns his gaze toward Luis. His expression shifts into something that looks a lot like genuine intrigue. He's an interesting one. He might show us something truly fascinating. Another examiner immediately pumps the brakes. Perhaps. But right now, he hasn't moved a single step. Back in the arena, that's exactly right. Luis is completely still, standing in the middle of absolute chaos like a statue. The other competitors start noticing. What is that guy doing? One of them wonders. His companion scoffs. Slimes are too fast for a commoner to keep up with. He'll be knocked out soon. Luis doesn't react. Head slightly lowered. Every sense fully focused. Reading the battlefield. A slime spots him. Motionless, apparently helpless, and dives straight at him from above at full speed. Easy target, it thinks. The camera closes in on Luis's face. Completely calm. And the gleaming edge of his sword. And we cut right on the edge of impact. Back in the arena. Luis's expression shifts. Serious now, focused. As blue energy starts radiating off his body, something is about to happen. One examinee attacks a slime nearby while Luis watches from a distance, cataloging every movement, every pattern, every weakness. Then he moves, and the crowd goes quiet. His agility is something else entirely. One competitor blurts out that he was sure the hit was unavoidable. They were wrong. Luis doesn't just dodge. He counters immediately, launching a projectile of energy that tears across the arena and strikes another examinee clean. Defensive and offensive in one motion. And through all of it, his face stays completely serene, like he already knows what's coming before it arrives. But he's not the only threat here. A storm of blazing energy attacks floods the arena from another direction. It's Ken. Confident smile firmly in place. Overwhelming assault unleashed. Eyes locked on Luis. Certain that nobody can evade all of this. Luis faces the storm of attacks. Doesn't flinch. Concentration hits its peak. Close up on those eyes. No fear. Just cold, precise calculation. And then we're pulled into a flashback. A snow-covered mountain. Frozen, brutal, quiet. Luis stands in the middle of it, facing 3 training partners. They're hesitating, they're supposed to throw stones at him, but they're genuinely scared of hurting him. Luis just smiles at them. It's fine, he says. There's something I need to test. Go ahead. They look at each other, shrug, and wind up. Make sure you dodge, they warn him. Here they come. A rain of stones flies straight at him. And right at that moment, Luis activates something. His eyes light up from within. And in that moment, his mind shifts into something else entirely. Luis recalls a hypothesis he developed in his past life. a theory that could fundamentally change the way combat works. The idea was this: train the brain to transmit information at extreme speed between the parietal lobe and the cerebellum, calculating attack trajectories and reacting before the body even consciously registers the threat. Simple in theory, nearly impossible in practice. But if it worked, no attack could ever land. Surrounded by incoming rocks, Luis prepares to put it all on the line. This is the ultimate test of his void combat calculation. Step 1: gather. He absorbs every piece of incoming data. Trajectories, speeds, angles. All of it simultaneously. Step 2: calculate. His eye blazes as his brain processes it all at superhuman speed, mapping out the one safe path through the storm. Step 3: evade. And just like that, Luis moves through a rain of rocks without a single one touching him. His training partners are standing there completely speechless, mouths open, unable to process what they just watched. Luis wipes the sweat from his brow, cold satisfaction on his face. The theory works. It actually works. Still in the flashback, he turns to his stunned companions and gives it a name.
Void de combat calculation.
They just stare at him blankly. He smiles and starts to explain. It doesn't just help you survive. It determines the outcome of battle itself. And then we snap back to the present. The arena. The slimes charging straight at him. Time to find out if it works on monsters too. His eyes activate. Complex physical formulas overlay his vision. He no longer sees enemies, he sees trajectories, velocities, and vectors. The slimes launch their attack. But to Luis's hyper-accelerated mind, their movements read like simple math equations. From above, the pattern becomes clear, a coordinated assault from 4 directions. To anyone else, overwhelming. To Luis, just another variable. He identifies the weakness immediately. Bound slimes are fast and powerful, but they can only travel in straight lines. That's everything he needs. He calculates the angles, the rebound speeds, the exact moment to move, and then takes one single step to the side. All 4 slimes miss. Every single one. Unable to adjust their trajectory even slightly. Luis keeps count in his head. 4 successful evasions. 8 points. But dodging alone won't get him into the top 100. He tightens his grip on the sword. The defensive phase is officially over. With a sharp battle cry, "My turn," he unleashes a blazing wave of energy. Sword-severing cut. The slash tears through the air, splits apart, and wipes out the remaining slimes in a single clean strike. Done. The exam supervisors are staring. Did he just read their movements? One asks. That perception. Another murmurs, genuinely in awe. And Ken, watching from across the arena, has completely shifted how he sees this guy. That's not just talent. That's a rival. A slow smile spreads across Ken's face. The kind that means he's already made up his mind. I definitely need to team up with him. Luis senses something and turns. Just in time to watch Ken's blade drop from above and skewer the slime he was about to finish off. Stolen. Right in front of him. Luis's eyes go cold. Hey. His voice drops. You're stealing my prey. Ken doesn't even blink. What I stole wasn't yours to begin with. Completely unbothered. And just to prove the point, Ken launches back into the arena, moving with the speed and precision of a master fencer, and steals points from a group of struggling examinees without breaking a sweat. He turns back to Luis and gestures at the others. Steal from them, not each other. Targets are the weak ones. Simple logic. Then that charming yet dangerous smile. I'm Ken. Want to steal points together? Luis studies him carefully. This guy's motives aren't exactly transparent. He weighs it. Ken picks up on the suspicion and clarifies, I just want a high ranking. Nothing more. And then, because that alone isn't enough fun, he adds a challenge. Let's compete while we're at it. See who scores more. His eyes sharpen with pure provocation. Show me your maximum power. Luis's expression shifts and a smile forms. The proposal genuinely amuses him. You seem very confident, he says. Fine. If you insist. He grips his sword. The competition officially begins. But Luis isn't done. He adds one condition of his own. They position back to back. The loser does whatever the winner says. Luis says it calmly, like it's obvious. Ken blinks. It's the first time anyone has ever dared put terms on him. He's actually surprised. But they don't know they're already being watched. From a distance, a furious archer is staring straight at them, and cursing under his breath. His group had received orders from someone called Lord Schiff. And now Luis and Ken had just allied with each other. This complicates things. The leader of the group, Cold eyes, blood-red irises, a smile that means nothing good, makes the call. Now, while the chaos covers them, perfect timing for an ambush, a streak of energy tears across the arena. The attack has begun. Bows drawn, targets locked. A magical arrow flies straight for Ken, and Luis shoves him out of the way in a split second. Pure reflex. Eyes blazing, void combat calculation activates instantly. Luis reads the incoming threat in real time, and then he does something that makes no sense. He steps forward to intercept the arrow. Not with his sword, with his body. The archers don't stop. A full rain of arrows follows, meant to overwhelm completely. A violent explosion of red energy erupts at the point of impact. Ken watches in horror. It looked like a direct hit. The archer is already celebrating, his target is down. The smoke clears. Luis is smiling, completely unharmed. Not a scratch. The archer's triumphant expression just breaks. What? How is that possible? And then they see it. Luis opens his hands. Both arrows caught between his fingers. With his bare hands. Panic rips through the archer's group. He caught them. With his bare hands. How do you even react to that? Ken rushes over. Are you okay? That was dirty fighting. Luis just lets the arrows drop casually. It's nothing. The archer's pride takes the hit harder than anything else. Who are you calling trash? He raises his bow again, this time targeting Ken. He activates his special technique, Twin Arrow. Dark purple energy coils around both projectiles, his eyes glowing red. This is a different level of attack. 2 arrows launch at blinding speed. One ordinary. One wrapped in dark magic. Both heading straight for Ken and Luis. Ken steps up. Confident smile. He flicks his rapier and shatters the ordinary arrow like it's nothing. This level, he says dismissively. But the dark magic arrow keeps coming. Unaffected. Closing in on Ken fast. And his expression shifts for the first time. Genuine tension. Then a violent burst. Blood splashes across the scene. Ken's palm is bleeding. He caught it. And he turns to Luis immediately. Don't move. Luis goes still. And then it hits him, he was the real target all along. The ordinary arrow was just the distraction. 2 exam supervisors are watching from a distance. One points out the clear malicious intent. Shouldn't they be disqualified? The chief supervisor, tall, blonde, composed, stays calm. They'll lose anyway, he says. Just have the healing potions ready for after. Back in the arena, Luis processes everything and turns to the boy standing next to him. You're Ken, right? Ken doesn't answer that. Instead, he grips his sword like a baseball bat and asks the archers if they've ever heard of baseball. Nobody knows what that means, including the archers. He swings. 2 incoming energy projectiles get batted straight back at their senders with the precision of a professional hitter. What? Mathematical formulas ripple around Ken as he activates his ability, void combat calculation. The same technique. Ken has it too. Eyes glowing, teeth clenched, fully locked in. A strange smiling creature made of blue energy forms along his blade, building up, ready to be released. Ken swings. The projectile shoots across the arena at terrifying speed. The archers have no time to react. Catches the leader square in the face. The impact is so powerful it visibly distorts his features on contact. He's airborne. He crashes to the ground. A circular burn mark scorched into his chest. A voice calls it. Number 438. Disqualified. Ken lands lightly, grins and says it simply. 1 down. Luis watches from the side, genuinely impressed. This whole situation, nobles, commoners, rivals, ambushes. He thinks to himself that things are getting very interesting. The 2 remaining archers are screaming at the sight of their fallen companion. Brother, how dare you? Pure fury, pure disbelief. One of the archers spins around in panic. Where did he go? Ken has completely vanished from sight, and even Luis is scanning the arena trying to track him. Then Ken's voice rings out from above. Here I am. He's already airborne, dropping straight down onto the second archer. 1 clean swing. The second archer goes down before he even registers what happened. Ken lands and says it without blinking. Number 2. The same energy projectile. Same result. The archer screams and gets launched through the air in the exact same humiliating fashion as his leader. The announcement follows instantly. Number 0439 disqualified. The last one standing stares at Ken with pure terror, and decides that intimidation is his only play left. He warns Ken, if a commoner goes too far, the upperclassmen won't just stand by and watch. Big words for someone whose entire group just got dismantled. Ken's response? He casually steps on the guy's foot. Oops. The archer crumples to the ground. Just like that, done. Luis watches the whole thing from a distance and sarcastically tells Ken to be more careful next time. Deadpan delivery. Once it's over, Luis walks over to Ken. Thanks for the help, and then, with genuine concern, is your hand all right? Ken smiles it off. And Luis, carefully holding Ken's bandaged hand, tells him he's surprisingly decent for a noble. Ken laughs and fires back that Luis is quite kind for a noble. Luis corrects him immediately, don't lump me in with ordinary nobles. And then he drops it. Has Ken ever heard of the great families? Because Luis belongs to one of them, the Aranka family. A quick history lesson. The great families are ancient clans that have produced grandmasters and sages throughout history. Their influence rivals even the royal family itself. Their power shapes the wealth and fate of the world. These aren't just noble houses, they're forces of nature with political reach that dwarfs traditional nobility. Ken absorbs all of this while they fight side by side. Great families, he thinks. Nobles really do come in all kinds. But not everyone in the arena is reflecting quietly. Ken's overwhelming display has enraged a whole group of nobles who are furious he's been helping a commoner. They step forward and make their position clear. Luis and Ken will not be earning any more points. Not if they have anything to say about it. Luis and Ken go back to back instantly. Auras surging from both of them. Bring it. One noble charges forward screaming that commoners should simply disappear, and the brawl erupts. Full scale. No holding back. But not everyone joins the pile-on. Two fighters notice Luis has become a target and make a decision. Let's help him. They charge in, shouting, let's take down those low-class nobles. The exam has just turned into a full-blown class war. Nobody planned for this. The arena descends into total chaos. Weapons clashing, bodies flying, alliances forming mid-fight. Luis warns Ken to stay sharp, and silently vows not to drop his guard again. Through the chaos, two new figures catch the eye. A red-haired young woman in armor watches everything unfold with a smile spreading across her face. This is getting interesting, she says. Her companion, a small blue-haired mage, fires up beside her. Let's make those nobles who look down on you regret it. And they both leap in. Ken is cutting through the battlefield with effortless grace, but he's becoming a magnet for enemies. More points means more targets on his back. Slimes start appearing in the arena again mid-brawl, making everything even more chaotic. Ken barely has time to register them before the blue-haired mage is already moving. The mage trips an opponent charging at him mid-stride, clean and precise. The red-haired warrior follows up immediately, wide swing, sending another enemy flying across the arena. And then a new presence enters the fight entirely. Massive, red-haired, carrying an enormous hammer and laughing his head off. This is Federin, and he is absolutely loving every second of this. Haha, amazing, he shouts. Just amazing. He declares with full enthusiasm that hitting people is way more fun than smashing slimes, and charges forward like a natural disaster. He starts spinning, an actual human whirlwind, hammer tearing through everything in its path, eyes blazing. People are getting launched in every direction. When he finally stops, he surveys the wreckage around him with deep satisfaction. The ground is covered in groaning, defeated students. He looks genuinely pleased with himself. Up on the balcony, one of the supervisors asks the director, should they step in and stop this? The director is completely unbothered. Youthful energy is important, he says. Let them go. Another supervisor raises the concern. If all the nobles get eliminated in this free-for-all, won't that cause problems for the Academy's reputation? The director doesn't even flinch. The Academy has its own rules. We don't answer to public opinion. His subordinate nods and suddenly understands completely. And then, a blinding pillar of golden light crashes down from the sky into the center of the arena. Everything stops. Instantly, the director floats within the radiance, arms raised. With this, the second exam has ended. He smiles down at the exhausted arena. Rankings and scores for successful candidates will be announced shortly. Students are scattered everywhere, completely drained. The earth magic has faded. Someone groans about how exhausted they are. Healing potions are handed out immediately. Ken holds one of the potions up, studying the magical aura swirling inside the flask. He marvels at it. These must cost a fortune, he says. Luis walks over with a teasing smile. Relax, he says. Even if he wins their bet, he won't make things difficult. Ken just sighs at the arrogance. The director waves his hand. A gigantic magical scroll materializes in the air above the arena, slowly unfurling to reveal the results. Luis looks up at it confidently and asks Ken what place he thinks they got, already assuming they both passed. Obviously, the defeated nobles nearby are already laughing. The commoner doesn't even appear on the list. Luis squints up at the scroll. The list only shows up to 6th place. His name isn't there. He stares at it, genuinely confused. Did he get disqualified for going after those guys? The thought actually worries him for a second. The director announces that the top 5 examinees have broken previous records. 5th place, Miliano Roy, the small blue-haired mage. Not bad. 4th place, Kanka. But the image shown alongside the name is Luis, wearing a serious expression. The crowd is confused. So is Luis. 3rd place, Feirin. The image reveals the red-haired warrior with a confident grin. Luis is still staring at the scroll. His name still hasn't appeared. He's starting to sweat a little. And then 2nd place. Luis Carel. 887 points. The arena goes quiet for a moment. 887 points. For a commoner, that's not just passing, that's historic. Ken, standing right next to him, looks genuinely confused. He doesn't recognize the name at all, because to nobles, commoners are essentially invisible. He turns and refers to Luis as that commoner from before. Luis just smiles. Enigmatic. It's a secret, he says, keeping everything close to the chest. Ken accepts the non-answer, then reminds him he won their bet. Luis waves it off. He'll collect his reward after the exam. Ken agrees, but everyone's attention is already shifting. The final announcement. 1st place. The tension in the arena is palpable. Luis, Ken, and 2 female warriors all wait. Eyes on the scroll. 1st place, with an unprecedented 888 points, Neil Gunn. Another commoner. A massive warrior kneels in the arena, gripping his enormous hammer, red eyes glowing with intensity. He smiles. He's found worthy opponents. He hopes they won't disappoint him. The noble crowd cannot process this. 2 commoners. Top 2 positions. Surpassing even the heir of the prestigious Duran family. Phi, the blue-haired young woman from the Duran family, stares at the results, her hand trembling slightly, the pressure of that result settling over her visibly. Meanwhile, a pink-haired warrior in full armor looks absolutely thrilled. She's already smiling at Neil like she can't wait to fight him.